Yes, my people, Nebayin, welcome to this channel where we give now bunge update on waiting they happen for Biafran territory and how the Islamic State they attack Beki. Now, here they just serve woto to this zoo army. 3 of them wounded. And another update now say Prime Minister they drop update on the self-referendum will go happen in December.
This year, after Biafra declaration on the 2nd of December, we will know who is going to run away from the south, and southeast. I have no other update to give you, but I have come to assure those criminals and terrorists in Nigeria state that God will use me to end Nigeria. And the end of Nigeria have begun. When Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was preaching, he said Somali will be better than Nigeria. Are you not seeing it? The good news is that at the end, freedom will come. And the West continue to make mistake of allowing us in Africa to carry gun before they're listening to us. The mistake were done in Sudan, in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, in many places. Something that we can resolve amicably. Ordinary asking for freedom is a problem. The people you will kill you for asking for your freedom, and if you don't defend yourself, your history will be gone. Will be wiped away from the surface of the earth. Mm-hmm. And today, we will not be wiped away by Nigeria because we have come to end it. Our forefathers paid the heaviest price of being in Nigeria, and we are not going to leave that particular price for our children unborn to pay. We will end it in this generation. So from the 2nd of December, the music will change. Nigerians don't know what is coming. We will show them that the people you killed in the 60s, we have never forgotten them. The scars is very fresh. The humiliation on our children, they were dying, and they saw all those stomach being swelled up, and they were dying in thousands on daily basis, up to 3 million. Nigeria is evil and must end. The only way to end it is when they come with AK-47, you bring your own AK-47. When they come with bomb, you bring your own bomb. Mm-hmm. It is fire for fire, gun for gun, until the world will listen to us. Mm-hmm. And that listening to us, they have ignored us for many years. Mm-hmm. This year will be the day, the year that the Biafra and our own cry will ring a bell to the highest level. Thank you, Biafrans in UK.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, my lord.
Let me promise one thing. You know, any place I go, I always promise. And I want to fulfill that promise whenever. So the promise I'm making to the United Kingdom today, Biafrans in the United Kingdom, is that when I was in the US a few weeks ago, last week, I promised them that the satellite radio and all that will be, and the TV will be on air. And today we have the satellite TV, we have the satellite radio. And what I promise and what I'm still promising here is that we will start, now we have tested the radio and it is working in Ebonyi State. We are going to start from the coastal Biafra to the hinterland. We already have some transmitters in the hinterland. So Akwa Ibom State, the former Akwa Ibom State, in the next 2 weeks, will have Voice of Biafra satellite radio all over Akwa Ibom. That's my promise. In the next 2 weeks, we are going to have them in Akwa Ibom, and from there, spread to Ugwocha, spread to Bayelsa, spread to all the coastal delta before we come to the hinterland. That is the promise I'm making to you, but it starts in the next 2 weeks from today. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
Master Boniface, please, Ben Chuck's hand has been up for a long time. Do attend to him, please.
Yeah, we have, there is time for donations, but we are following the program. Mazi Benchus, don't worry, you will usher your own submission. But we have a presentation. Okay, we have a presentation we want to present. Please, after the presentation, you can go ahead. Please, sir. There we go. My wonderful family, UK family, I recognize everybody here. Those in the cabinet, PM's cabinet, we recognize all of you. You are all supportive in UK. Everything that will make UK to be moving forward, you are always gather around to see that it is being done and on time. I recognize all of you present here. There we know. So please, I may not go one by one to recognize all of you, but I recognize your presence in this meeting. When the time comes, we shall be unmuted for you to take your own submission. But we have a presentation now. We are following our program. We have a presentation we want to present. We have a teenager here in UK, very intelligent. The other day, he made a presentation in one of the Igbo unions. So we said no, well, he must come here and do this presentation, another presentation concerning the Biafran war and its importance today. I'm calling on Ben Obodefuna. Ben, if you are here, you can raise your hand. A very brilliant. Is a very Bitcoin in GRU. Is very good in GRU in Bitcoin. Even in this our USBT, he is very good. He teaches people around him how to transact, how to trade with the USBT. So he's a very good guy and a teenager, very brilliant. Yeah, from mother. So Ben, my minister, you can see Ben so that he can be
on your
unmuted.
camera and unmute yourself.
Hello. Greetings, Prime Minister, and greetings, fellow Biafran. Also known as the Nigerian Civil War, took place between 1967 and 1970 due to ethnic and political divisions between Nigeria's Igbo-dominated southeast and the Hausa Fulani-led north. Colonel Odemegwu Ojukwu led Biafra to declare independence in 1967, which led to a military intervention by the Nigerian government, headed by General Yakubu Gowon. The conflict included intense battles, human rights violations, and a severe humanitarian crisis, with an estimated 1 to 3 million deaths from famine and disease. Despite initial successes by Biafra, the Nigerian military, backed by international support from countries like Britain and the Soviet Union, eventually were victorious. The war concluded in 1970 with Biafra's capitulation and its reintegration into Nigeria, significantly shaping the nation's political and ethnic dynamics of today. So, an introduction. One of the unique things about Biafra in the history of warfare is that not only was Biafra fighting a war, but simultaneously, Biafra was also building a nation state, which includes fully functioning institutions such as the Central Bank of Biafra, University of Biafra, ministries, and law courts. For example, people were still going to court for petty cases and receiving punishments, or getting married in a church as a normal society would whilst fighting the war. This is what makes Biafra unique, and things like this are what should be celebrated in history. So, number one, the post-war £20 policy. So at the end of the war, a Nigerian panel concluded that every Igbo person who had an account in any Nigerian bank before the Civil War was to receive £20. At the beginning of the Civil War, Igbo people took their money out of Nigerian banks and changed it to the Biafran currency. After the war, the Nigerian government took control of bank accounts belonging to Biafrans. A Nigerian committee decided to give each Igbo person a new bank account with just £20 in it. This meant that there were multi-millionaires who were stripped of all their money and forced to rebuild off of a mere £20. Despite this, though, the eastern region still grew to become bigger than most of the other regions in Nigeria today, Despite the harsh conditions they were forced to build their economy back up from. But what many people don't know is what happened to the money that was stripped from the Biafrans. In 1972, 2 years after the war concluded, the Nigerian government released the indigenization decree, which mandated all foreign, especially British companies, to be either fully or partly owned by Nigerians. A decree that the Igbos did not benefit from, and it's believed that the money used to finance the purchase of these private interests was on the other side of that £20. Number 2, Biafra's crude oil refineries. During the Biafran War, faced with an economic blockade limiting the access to petroleum products, the Biafrans ingeniously established makeshift crude oil refineries. Leveraging local expertise and traditional refining methods for palm oil, they improvised equipment using available materials like old barrel and pipes. This community-driven effort, coupled with training initiatives, enabled them to produce sufficient refined petroleum products to sustain their economy and military operations throughout the conflict. This technology the Biafrans created is still being used by the likes of the Russians today. Number 3, the hijacking of planes. During the Biafran War, Biafran militants hijacked 4 planes, including 2 Nigerian Airways planes and 2 BOAC, which is the British Overseas Airways Corporation planes, on July 10th, 1968, diverting them to the Ûlai airstrip in Biafra. This dramatic act was an attempt to draw international attention to the plight of the Biafran people and the humanitarian crisis caused by the Nigerian government's blockade and military offense. While the passengers and the crew were released unharmed, the hijacking was widely condemned by the international community, including the Nigerian and British governments, as an act of terrorism and a violation of international law. Despite the international attention generated, the hijacking did not significantly alter the course of the Biafran War or lead to a resolution of the conflict. Now, number 4, the minting of the Biafran currency. During the Nigerian Civil War, Biafra declared independence and issued its own currency, the Biafran pound. On the 29th of January 1968, Biafra began minting its own £1 and £5 shilling notes in Portugal. These notes were made from paper and not too durable. Then, in February 1968, a second revolution of these minted notes were made in Switzerland, including a £5 shillings note, a £10 shillings note, a £1 note, a £5 note, and a £10 note. These notes were polymer made and more durable than the initial paper notes the Biafrans had made in 1968. Once the war concluded in 1970, however, these notes were discontinued. Number 5, Omar Bongo Ondimba. Omar Bongo Ondimba was the president of Gabon from 1967 until his death in 2009, making him one of the longest-serving leaders in the world. During the Biafran War, Omar Bongo played a significant humanitarian role by allowing the adoption of Biafran children who were flown to Gabon by foreign mercenary pilots from France and Netherlands in order to escape the conflict and its devastating effects. My grandmother, who's actually in this Zoom meeting, was one of the 7 girls, which comprised from 2 nurses and 5 Red Cross girls that had taken the children to Gabon via the planes. She recalls the Nigerian Air Force's attempts to shoot down the planes as frightening for all parties on the aircraft. Luckily, however, the Nigerian Air Forces seemed to miss the planes. So, under Omar Bongo's leadership, Gabon provided a safe haven for these orphaned and displaced children from Biafra. Many of these children had lost their families and were in desperate need of care and support. Omar Bongo facilitated the adoption process and ensured that these children received proper care, education, and a chance for a better future in Gabon. Subsequently, one of the children Omar had adopted, named Ali Bongo Odimba, went on to become the next president of Gabon. Thank you for listening.